Jake.
And Alex.
And today we're going to be reacting to the Nostalgia Critic's 2020 review of James Cameron's Avatar, with the new movie coming out in a few days. Are you familiar with Avatar?
Yes, I remember seeing Avatar. It was a huge movie at the time. It made a boatload of money. This was at James Cameron's peak right after Titanic.
12 years after Titanic, but yeah.
I mean, I remember seeing this vividly. I don't feel like it's aged well since I've seen it. I feel like some of the undertones have gotten a little much. But at the time, I thought it was a great flick.
I actually didn't see this for a while. I'll be honest, I did not watch this movie in its entirety until just recently, 13 years after it came out. I just missed it, wasn't really interested at the time, and I did have the DVD at one point, but it was a gift from somebody who I had a falling out with, so I ended up selling the DVD, but enough years passed that I decided to give it a go.
Wasn't it a long movie? I remember it being almost 3 hours.
It's 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Okay.
So I watched it and I enjoyed it. I thought it kept me interested all the way through, which was impressive for its length.
Yeah.
But like many people hyped it up for being a 5-star movie. After watching it, I'm like, I think I'd give it a 3.
And I think in the moment I would have given it a 4. It just had too much of the, you know, environmentalism and companies are the bad guys messaging.
Yeah.
Which it just kind of bludgeoned you over the head. It was not done subtly.
The commentary
all,
was so on the nose, you could feel it getting shoved up your nostrils.
Yeah.
But
in the moment, I didn't feel it as much, but definitely seeing it after, it's like, oh, okay.
Doug has always stated he was never a fan of this movie. So it's been a while since I've seen his review, but curious to see what he has to say and how you'll react, what you'll think.
All right.
So the new one about to come out, let's watch.
It's been a whole 10 years and some months since the release of the groundbreaking Avatar, and all these years later, people are still celebrating its brilliance. I'm James Cameron, author of the cinematic masterpiece. We're going to revisit the impact that Avatar had on an entire generation.
Yeah, I love watching Avatar, but then my bigger TV broke years ago, and I can only watch on a smaller screen, so I haven't seen it in a while.
The heavy symbolism and character development was too powerful for you to take in without a larger screen.
Yeah, that's it.
It's no doubt that Avatar has left its mark with stellar 3D technology, incredible, groundbreaking digital advances, and breathtaking visuals.
As well as its message that haunts and inspires every viewer who is deep enough to understand it.
Sure.
And where do you keep my prized cinematic achievement?
Well, my bigger TV is on the fritz, so I've just been using it as a coffee cushion.
Adding to your beverage so that you can drink in the deepness of
Sure, yes.
But fear not, dear viewers, that there is more on the way. For I have been spending years writing and directing even more Avatar movies. In Avatar 2, Jake goes missing, so Natiri goes to the human world to find him and must adapt to its new environment and find her love.
Isn't that Pocahontas 2? I'm pretty sure that's the plot to Pocahontas 2. I saw it as a kid.
Never heard of it. But let me tell you about the other stuff.
Or Beastmaster 2.
Several of Lebanese babies are kidnapped by humans, so a team of fierce warriors have to go rescue them but get sucked into Earth's addictive ways. With the help of a little girl who wants to be a circus performer, they...
That's Ferngully 2.
Huh?
That's the exact story of Ferngully 2, the magical rescue. Not because I was forced to watch it when I misbehaved.
Impossible. I don't even introduce Batty until Act 2.
Do you have any original ideas for these flicks?
Of course I do. Why, in Part 4, they... What's the plot of Dance with Wolves 2?
I should have been the
Avatar. It was nominated for Best Picture, and you can never change that.
And it lost to a film made by his ex-wife, The Hurt Locker.
Which is a good film. I don't think I've seen this intro before.
Hear this, the Nostalgia Critic has pretty creative intros. Intro by Farad Mohammed.
Hello, I'm the Nostalgia Guy. Remember, so you don't have to. It's practically a cliche to say that Avatar is full of cliches.
Yep.
The incredibly hyped, over-budget, former highest-grossing film ever still seems to have the same reaction it did now that it did over 10 years ago. The plot and characters aren't very good, everybody knows it, but nobody cares. Everyone's made the comparisons to Dances with Wolves, Ferngully, and Pocahontas, but to many, Avatar was more of a spectacle than a film. The 3D was unlike anything seen at the time. The entire film being shot in IMAX as opposed to just part of it was rarely seen for big-budget films. And the visuals were colorful and grand in scale. Many said it felt like you were really there in a completely different world.
I
You don't
agree with
judge the
that.
story and characters of a roller coaster, you just enjoy the ride. That seemed to be most people, and even critics' reactions.
Huh.
For a film that took the world by storm, the highest-grossing movie of all time for several years, nobody really talks about it.
Yeah, it kind of faded away.
Yes. Star Wars, Marvel, Harry Potter, tons. But after it left theaters with an impressive 8-month run, people stopped talking about it.
Yeah, I've never felt the
It
desire to
was a
rewatch.
movie for a decade, and people had little passion to discuss it. Whether you like Titanic or not, the former highest-grossing.
I watched that more than
Everyone
once.
had a strong opinion about it, but with Avatar, not so much. So rather than kick a movie while it's kind of down, I wanted to look at the impact and even lack of impact this movie had. I made no secret I wasn't a big fan of this film, but it's interesting to look over what elements are still being utilized years later and what elements aren't. Well, still poking fun of the stupid shit because there's a lot of stupid shit. Let's go back to Pandora, or more importantly, the Pirate's Font. Conversations that just relate. Over 10 years later, this is Avatar. The film opens with a paraplegic soldier named Jake, played by British Australian Southerner Sam Worthington.
So a week before Tony's gonna ship out, got this. He was the one who wanted to get shot light years out in space. Figured he's just another hell of a guy with a gun ends his journey.
Take me to the side, or I Creed.
Oh, sorry, that was Hugh Jackman not hearing the origins. It's hard to tell, wasn't it? Waking up in space, heading towards the planet Pandora. With compliments to the 3D, I still look at many of these shots and still see them in 3 dimensions, despite me seeing it only once years ago. In fact, the majority of these shots still look impressively massive because not only is so much kept in focus, but the main subject
Looks very Revenge of the Sith to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Allowing you to take
That
in
part
the
for
scenery
sure.
while also having something to compare in size. And then, they talk.
You're not in Kansas anymore.
There's no such thing as an ex-Marine. You may be out, but you never lose the attitude.
Is this commercial?
Keep you alive. I will not succeed.
Okay, the writing in this is by no means the worst, but it's very... Oh, that's the best comparison here. Hot Shots.
If there is a hell, you might want to go there for some R&R. I don't care how good you think you are. Your ego's writing checks your body can't cash.
Yeah, I'm just another dumb grunt going someplace he's gonna regret.
I can never find time for love. It's too heavy. It's an anchor that drowns a man.
Yeah. I know who you are, and I don't know you.
He's the type of guy that could end up killing every man in this outfit.
They sound like cliche dramatic setups for Lloyd Bridges to say something funny to.
You've got to obey the rules. You're on Pandora.
Goddamn, Bill, I'm supposed to be in California.
These guys are hard dogs, fighting for freedom.
Hot Shots
They're
is
just
a pretty fun series.
taking the money.
Might not have a clue what you're talking about, fella. Not a fucking clue.
Like I said, though, this isn't the worst. I'd argue it's almost expected for a movie about blue cats fighting mechanical rip-offs of your own rip-offs. And yes, even though a big ass reason why a soldier with absolutely no knowledge about this species is chosen to be put in the body of one is enjoyably weak. You see, Jake's brother was the one who was going to do it, but then died. So they send this guy in only because he has the same genome.
And since your genome is identical to his, you could step into his shoes.
That's like a football player dying and putting in his brother who has no idea how to play the game because the uniform fit. But again, I feel like most people would be expecting this from a James Cameron script. It's when we get to The Company, and yes,
Yeah.
that is what Jay calls them.
Taking the money. Working for the company.
The Man! Where the head named Selfridge, played by Giovanni Ribisi, doesn't care about the precious life on the planet. He just wants gold. I mean diamonds. I mean oil. I mean... Oh, it matters. Just call it an unobtainium.
This is why we're here. Unobtainium.
Yeah, That's actually what it's called, unobtainium. It's like in Pulp Fiction if the item in the briefcase was called the MacGuffin. It's honestly kind of hilarious.
Not lucky your guy had a twin brother, and lucky that brother wasn't some moral hygienist or something.
I'm hoping the atmosphere in Pandora can drain my sinuses. If you're like me, this guy and Stephen Lang as the Colonel is when you start to put together this movie's in trouble. Both of them are so comedically one-note, even celebrating it in their performances, that Billy Zane from Titanic is looking like Kylo Ren from Star Wars. If you don't take it seriously, it's actually pretty
I
funny.
didn't mind Stephen Lang, but Ribisi, he almost killed this film.
Bad joke. Lifted science majors.
We go to school, we teach them English.
Learn these savages from the inside. I want you to gain their trust.
Get it? Indian metaphor?
As soon as you see these two, you can already sense that waving finger of guilt getting ready to wag at you. In fact, you can see it at one of the words, waiting to burst out and make you feel bad for not being as enlightened as the movie is. Not yet. Tim Curry still has to sing Toxic Love.
Ferngully.
It's cool to see Sigourney Weaver as the scientist who studies the Navi.
I agree.
Even her performance feels a little, Captain Marvel-y.
Nice to know Cameron still got love for her.
I don't even know who I am. I'm gonna kick his corporate butt. He's no business sticking his nose in my department.
Your people are terrorists. They kill innocents.
I hate saying that, she's such a badass icon, but I think it's similar to Ford in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. She might have been away from this kind of role a little too long and is overcompensating.
You know, it was just the movie she was cast in.
The dialogue doesn't help either.
I need your brother. You know.
Or the direction. James Cameron had everybody be unnecessarily assholish most of the time.
But again, like many people have said, who cares? We just want to see the Navi, the natives who are stopping the humans from getting their unobtainium, inhabiting that awesome world.
Honestly, I thought these things looked kind of silly.
The beginning of a new fetish? Yes, Captain. It's the birth of countless hours of computer-generated Navi porn. Jake is put into the Navi avatar, and gee, it's almost like he wasn't properly prepared for any of this.
I get he's happy to walk again, but
His chart says
this
he has way
seems
too much
dumb.
free spirit. He might even be, don't say it, a dreamer. They go out into the jungles of Pandora, and I'll admit, I remember the effects being a little distracting because the Navi were just so silly looking to me, but now that I look back, these are very good effects.
I think it's the
To give you
best
an
part
idea
of the
how
movie.
well they held up. This is just as
Their world
It's only
effects.
3 years old and looks like this. Hell, Cat is less than 1 year old and it
Ugh.
looks like this. Avatar is over 10 years old and looks like a movie that was released today. Yes, there's naturally some scenes that don't hold up as well, but seeing this on a smaller screen, I know it's gonna sound odd, but it actually showed me how well the effects held up. On IMAX, you're distracted by the size, the 3D, the unusual visuals, but on a smaller screen, you notice more how well everything blends together. Oh, and you know, there's characters and a plot, I guess. Don't shoot those, the Navi shit those out! They come across a giant beast, but Jake seemingly scares it off.
That's right, get your punk ass back to mama. Yeah? Yeah, you got nothing, you keep running.
Yeah, we're already stealing from a ton of kids.
Yeah.
Why not steal from big
Dialogue's not the best.
With a dash of Jurassic Park.
Yeah, it's definitely got a little Jurassic Park.
Jake is separated from his team, but is discovered by
That's
Tess,
the
like,
connection
getting
that I
ready
make
to
the
take him
most.
out. No, Grandma Jellyfish Willow senses good in him. This Cheerios beast fluid should scare away any predators. He's saved by Materi, played by Zoe Saldana. This shouldn't be turning me on. Thank God it isn't. And she finds the survival skills.
You're like a baby, making noise, don't know what to do.
Hey, don't talk about the director like that.
Donna!
He had 1 day until retirement.
Seeds of the secret tree, very pure spirits.
Yeah, they never did that for Weaver, who literally dedicated her entire life saving them, but you're Mia. You're just the one because you're the one. Isn't it nice being born important?
What's that all about?
That was come Christ, I knew it felt sticky and reproductive.
Oh, jeez.
So because the tree's seen and picked him as the Messiah, Materi takes him to her clan. Right, more Jurassic Park ripoffs. Oh, and see if this sounds familiar. Materi is the daughter of an old chief, is betrothed growth to a stern, angry warrior and may have eventual feelings for our lead outsider.
What are you called?
John Smith. I mean the blonde guy. I mean, they've been after school special with trees and I'm the main guy in that. They decide to show him their ways because he's a soldier and I guess they trust him more than scientists. Again, how long was we know with them? And a tear.
Yeah, that part just kind of comes in and out.
He sleeps in their tamales and wakes up back at base.
Look, Sully, just find out.
It can be confusing to follow.
I believe they prefer the term turquoise monkeys.
We try to give them medicine, education, roads, but no, they like mine.
Metaphor. Don't worry,
Yeah.
they'll catch on to our subtlety.
Can somebody just... Sector 12.
He tells Jake that their village around Disney's Animal Kingdom tree has the largest amount of unobtainium, and it's his job to get them to leave.
Look at all that cheddar.
Yeah, humanity sucks. God, I'm a waste of a good actor. He's given 3 months as the Na'vi show him all the secrets of their ways, and yeah, this stuff is still pretty cool. This is what people got into the most. They said this film was great at world building and making you believe you traveled to a new realm. While these scenes are very beautiful, I have a theory. I don't think it's the world that drew people in, I think it's the look. Avatar is visually amazing. The colors and creatures are beautifully designed, but I don't think it's an example of good world building. In my opinion, good world building should be innovative in either environment, character, or both. It should leave you wanting to know more about how the world works. There's a show called Upload about a digital afterlife that makes you want to walk through this world and see how everything functions. But the characters are kind of cookie cutter. Then you have something like Into the Spider-Verse. The environment isn't anything new, but the variation of characters based on the same premise, being bit by a spider and turning into a hero, makes you want to see more of how each universe they're from created these people. An example on how the characters create the world building. Then you have things like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, or, funny enough, Avatar, that have rich and unique characters and unique.
I prefer that Avatar.
Yeah, I thought, unpopular opinion, I thought that was a good movie.
I want to know more about how Aang, as well as the world he inhabits, operates. Both are filled with engaging possibilities and ideas. What?
I really wish they had made
does
another.
Avatar offer exactly? Well, their literal connection to Pandora is kind of interesting. There's energy their hair can plug into with the animals and the planet itself, lighting up as they get closer to the main energy source of this giant tree. I'll even say the floating mountains. Both of these take from existing ideas and add new elements to them. But there's a difference between adding to an environment and just copying it. What are those? They're horses. What are these? They're dogs. They even have the exact same call as a hyena. What are the Na'vi? Every tribe ever shown on film. They focus on their connection to the environment, spirits, gods, and think our ways veer too far from them. Even their language sounds like a bad imitation of Native Americans from old westerns. Everyone be referencing Hot Shots this much. I feel like it's not creating something new, rather painting over something that's old. How cool would it be if the Na'vi had 10 arms, a language that sounded like a gargling hippo, and were born from a giant Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? I don't know, I'm just saying this off the top of my head. I already want to know more about how that world works. But here, I bet their version of a lemur is similar to our version of a lemur. I bet their flying lizards are similar to our flying lizards. Even when they go to other tribes, they all look the same. I can tell the difference between every army in Return of the King. But which tribe is this guy from? I have no idea. But okay, they're focusing on allegory. That's fine. A lot of great world building has done that before. But once again, those examples tap into character archetypes rather than just copying them. There's a difference between a Lieutenant Dunbar type and Lieutenant Dunbar exactly. Nothing new is added to these character cutouts that were not only old 20 years ago, but also used in children's media. And even they did it pretty lame. Because of this, I admire Avatar for its visual design, not its world building. But you gotta give credit. Having a giant robot suit hold a giant gun instead of just having a gun already in the suit, that's just being smart. So after Jake kills an animal while giving the proper Na'vi thanks,
Lunática media.
Yeah, please just kill me. I'm in a lot of pain.
No.
You're a asshole that means nothing to me. Yetiri decides he's ready to
You must die,
one
but
man she's
I thank
become
you
a
for
true
it.
boy. Whatever studio says when camera goes over budget. He, of course, makes the bond and is taken to the Tree of Souls.
The Tree of Souls. It's their most sacred place.
You know, I'm finding I rarely like movies that have a tree of something. Unless it's a tree of death, mayhem, or chocolate, I'll usually pass. But it looks like they're chased by a dangerous animal called Turk, who has chosen only 5 riders in all the years the Navi have existed.
My grandfather's grandfather was Turuk Makto. Turuk chose him. He brought the clans together in a time of great sorrow.
Well, I've only been here 3 months. I'm sure I can be a better Navi than the actual Navi are.
This is a place for prayers to be heard, and sometimes answered.
Well, I'm gonna pray I can bang you despite being betrothed to someone else. When you wish upon a star,
Yeah.
Just a heads up, Cinema Snob has already reviewed this Smurfs porno. It's as messy as it sounds.
Yes, he did.
Provoking to an unpleasant sound. Ready for round 2? What the fuck? It looks like Big Bad Humanity has started the demolition, so Jake and the others try to explain how they're ripping off Atlantis, the Lost Empire, as well.
There's some kind
That's a
of
pretty good animated movie.
communication between the roots of the trees. It's a global network, and the Navi can access it.
Crystal is alive. Deity, it's their power source. They're part of it. It's part of them.
Oh, come on, we bomb with the same story, and you break box office records. Who cares? We own you now anyway. We're gonna own everything.
They can upload and download data.
What the hell have you people been smoking out there?
I mean, you think I spent millions of dollars in your department to actually listen to you? I'm just like burning money. Look! I do the same thing when I finance an Emmerich movie. Make things worse.
Roland
Jake
Emmerich.
reported that the Navi
Made
would
Independence
never leave,
Day.
and it was pointless to have them out there.
There's nothing that we have that they want. Everything we simply have to do is a waste of time.
I suppose someone could check my log whenever they wanted, but with these guys, they seem on the level. The demolition heads for the giant tree as Jake tries to warn, leading to another timeless cliche that's always celebrated, the liar revealed.
You knew this would happen. Everything changed.
Yeah, I can't see how he thought this would go over well.
You're not a prince, warrior, family member, gay, or celebrity singer? I am instantly dismissing anything you say, even if it'll help us, Owen Wilson. I mean, Jake. Of course, don't listen to that. Hey, we're being attacked. Someone should have warned us. Take down the tree with their missiles and southern sayings.
I'd rather have run door. I got you, Mace. Alright, let's turn up the heat. That's how you scatter the roaches.
I say I need a that dog's got just the head for him.
Leading to easily my favorite laughable cliche in the movie, and I know it's yours too, sipping the coffee while people burn. How can you not burst with laughter at that scene? It is the ultimate villain cliche. All that's missing is a line like, "Oh, I love the smell of Bergonzo in the morning."
My coffee. Enjoy my coffee.
Big Lebowski. Oh.
Yes, Finger. It's time for you to wave in full swing. You. All of this is because of you. I know you think it isn't, but it is. It's because of you. See that tree falling? It's you.
You can practically feel the film jerk itself off.
Lightning's path to show you that it's you. Even the chief has fallen. Oh no, not him. You know, I can't imagine how I would feel if any of the Sioux from Dances with Wolves died. Kicking Bird, Wind in His Hair, Stands with a Fist. I have to struggle to remember any of these characters' names. Yeah, who was that? I don't know, just call him Chuck. Chuck's dead, everybody. Poor Chuck, dry your eyes. Chuck!
I was a warrior.
Bye, Chuck.
Sooner or later, though, you always have to wake up.
Wouldn't a thermos harness make more sense? I mean, if you're going to a battle with heavy fire, it's gonna spill in a cup. Don't,
Yeah.
The poor Navi, oh my god, I got to know him so well. The tree is knocked down, Jake and his friends are thrown in the brig, and even a pilot, played by Michelle Rodriguez, disobeys orders and flies away. No doubt being thrown in the brig with him, or she's fine.
Most underdeveloped character in the film.
Hey, heard you disobeyed a direct order. I think I'm supposed to slap you on the wrist or something. Let me check protocol. Oh, I was wondering why a pilot was serving food.
Stay here. Need someone on the inside we can trust.
And thankfully, there's no security cameras in this technologically advanced base. Best fucking picture! There is shot, though, leading to another great corny as hell line.
This is gonna ruin my whole day.
Yeah, I wanted those to be my last words in Alien 3, but even they weren't crazy enough to put it in.
Gotta get you some help, Grace.
I'm a scientist, remember? I don't believe in fairy tales.
Well, too bad, you're in 3 of them.
Outcast, betrayer, alien.
Okay, yeah.
Yep, you're all
those.
those.
Figured out all your monologues are is this. You're not the Shakespearean soliloquy you think you are.
Toruk is the baddest cat in the sky, so why would he ever look up?
Jake believes he's the one to bond with Toruk. Again, 3 months, and he's so much more Navi than the Navi, and he wins over the tribe's respect once more. They try saving Weaver by generating holy shits, I don't know. But it doesn't work, and she passes away.
She's with A1.
Is that a goddess? No, A1 state sauce. We're gonna eat her in a moment. Grab the page.
You ride out as fast as the wind can carry you. You tell the other clans to come.
So Jake encourages them to reach out to the other tribes. Oh wait, are we supposed to see this guy's evil? I totally missed that. Better hammer it in more.
Now, the hostiles believe that this mountain stronghold of theirs is protected by their deity.
That's as crazy as believing in life on other planets.
They won't come within 1,000 clicks of this place ever again.
Now do the chant with me. We're not wrong! We're not wrong! They all set out, getting ready to attack.
I want this mission high and tight. I want to be home for dinner.
And where is my evil coffee? Thank you.
So funny that the robots will move like that.
Giants I've never seen in war. Remember when the power loader sounded like delicate high heels? Ready and shit on them! The Navi attack, and once again, this is a visually pleasing action sequence.
Pretty kick-ass finale.
I've never done a bad action sequence, and this one is a lot of fun. Though once again, the reasoning behind some of the fights is pretty lame. Like when the god is A1, that is to say, the planet itself joins the battle.
Yeah, sorry I let so many of you get wiped out over the years. Please accept my apologies with me brainwashing more innocent life to sacrifice themselves to the slaughter. Best duty ever.
It's shiny. Oh hey, I remember that move from True Lies. Nice! Lang is so tough, he treats his arm on fire as a mild annoyance. And what do I care? I got another one. And comes out of a crashing ship in his robot suit, despite it would clearly turn his bones into pudding. He looks in his rear view mirror. Yeah, this film is swimming in radars, yet he uses a mirror. And Natiri tries to stop him, killing Jake's human form. Weird question, how come they don't have avatars for human beings? Like, make a human being avatar to go fight your battle so that nobody gets hurt?
Good question.
Oh, because no avatar would be clever enough to use a giant robot knife. Only a real human on the battlefield would want to be robot shots by you, Billy. Please tell me while he watches this thing die, he drinks a giant robotic cup of I need this to be a thing. But Jake arrives and doesn't do much better. Natiri gets the final shot, though. God, I hope that's the image they use when they won Best Picture at the Golden Globes.
Avatar.
And she saves Jake. Those crazy humans are sent back to Earth like kids being grounded to their rooms, and Jake uses the Tree of Souls to transfer forever into his Navi form.
Pretty abrupt.
And that was Avatar over over 10 years later, you still know what's wrong with it, and you still don't care. But maybe I can see why. Avatar is not a good movie, but it is a good experience. I think there's a reason its opening weekend was just okay for a movie of that size, but the following weeks it kept pulling people in, and why it's not watched or talked about as much on video. It truly was a big screen spectacle. But on top of that, it did have a big impact on cinema, just not in the way movies usually do. Most films like to ride the fads of story ideas or character traits, but Avatar was already ripped off of dated sources, so they took the technical inspiration. For example, the best 3D films know to be bright and colorful, as 3D requires more light that reflects better off of color. They also figured how to keep the main subject centered without it feeling too gimmicky like the old days. I get the feeling we wouldn't have 3D as amazing in films like Hugo or How to Train Your Dragon if it wasn't for Avatar. In fact, I thought the 3D in those films was even better than Avatar. But we still have this film to thank for that. Despite 3D not really being used as much anymore, it did invite talented filmmakers to push it to new levels. The filters they created to amp up the color is also a common practice now in modern film. So you can go from how it's originally shot like this, to this. Films at that time weren't nearly as colorful. If anything, they were much more grainy and colored less. Now it almost feels like films are as colorful as they've ever been. I remember having a fear that more movies were going to be like this, recycling obvious messages from after-school specials. I thought people hated this wagging finger style of storytelling, and I thought we just guaranteed we were gonna see a lot more. But this type of writing
Here and there
never became popular again. At least not on a grand scale like with Avatar. Everybody tried to imitate Star Wars when it came out, but not really with Avatar. At least in terms of story and characters. It really was just the look and the 3D that captured people's imagination, and that's what they tried to replicate. And that look has also led to new breakthroughs. Not only is the world of Pandora a marvel at Disney theme parks, but it's pushing the boundaries.
I have never been there.
I have not seen it either.
I look forward to seeing you on Pandora. Well, not te come. Is that okay?
How fucking crazy is that?
That's awkward.
So, when this movie came out, I hated it. I thought the story and characters were how the future of movies were gonna be, but it seems like only the good stuff was taken from Avatar and improved on it. So looking back, I can enjoy the impact it had, and enjoy the strong elements even more because of it. Whether you love it, hate it, or somewhere in between, Avatar made a big difference in the way that matters most. The best way. I'm a Nostalgia Critic, I remember, so you don't have to.
Wait.
Do you love film music? Do you want to feel deep, but not from subtle good movies, but rather from ones where shit blows up? Are you living between the years of 2000 and 2010? Then do we have the perfect soundtrack for you? It's One Woman Wailing. All of your favorite classics are here, like Ah from Avatar.
Not a bad imitation.
Hey from District 9. Who can forget Ooh, No Ya from Gladiator? And of course, Yaha from The Passion. We know you're sick of that one track from Platoon being played over and over. You want something new that can be easily duplicated and manipulative. Is it a foreign language or complete gibberish? Who cares? You can act like that pretentious action movie is more important than it is because, you know, there's a woman screaming and crying on the soundtrack. So now it's art. Whether it's Hulk, Crash, or even Matrix Revolutions, One Woman Wailing will always be there to make sure you won't sleep soundly. One Woman Wailing. It means something, I think.
Lifted science majors.
So, it's been 13 years since the original. What did you think of the Nostalgia Critic's review?
I thought he nailed the review. I think I agree with almost everything that he said about the film. And seeing all those clips just kind of reminded me of all the good, but also all the things that weren't so great about the movie, and probably is the reason I haven't seen it since.
the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I disagree a little bit on the visual praise. Yes, it looks nice, but I didn't get the full effect, and maybe that's because I didn't see it in the theater.
Yeah.
I think maybe on a theater in 3D, this stuff would be kind of mind-blowing. But watching it in 2D, I think it kind of loses its effect a little. Which he said he thought gave him a chance to see more. I'm not sure I agree about that entirely, but yeah, Doug was never a huge fan of this from the beginning. I don't think I fully agree with the it's not a good film. I think it's not great, but it ain't the worst either. I think it's just, it's a good ride, if that makes sense. I would not give this like a 5-star review, maybe 2.5 or 3 at most.
And again, I was a 4 in the moment, but I had a different perspective. I think how he was just talking about the world building versus the visual effects, I mean, that's a masterclass on movie analysis right there, because I think he absolutely nailed that. It's not world building, even though you kind of think it is, more like he called it world copying, but the visual effects were just stunning. They were stunning.
It's definitely a style over substance movie, and well, he is a bit flat, and I thought his dialogue when he was in the Na'vi form, the Jake Sully character, I think, his dialogue just sounded ridiculous, and every character was either underdeveloped or not particularly likable. Like, for me, I liked the first 20 minutes before they even brought in the Na'vi stuff. As for the Na'vi themselves, I think they look pretty, maybe it's just me, I think they look pretty ridiculous, but when it's just the Na'vi themselves, like you don't have Sam Worthington pretending to be one of them.
Yeah.
I thought the Na'vi on their own were pretty interesting, like if it was just them, it would be more interesting.
I think that's one of the kind of the blessings, but also one of the curses of the summer blockbuster is that usually a lot of the dialogue and plot development kind of get, swept under the carpet to make this big blockbuster visual effect type of film.
Yeah, and the one character, I didn't mind Stephen Lang as the Colonel. He seemed like a good, evil military guy.
Definitely an archetype, though. I mean, that military archetype right there. He is the prototype for that character. But I agree, I didn't think he was as bad.
It was the businessman Parker, I think they called him, played by Giovanni Ribisi. The one scene that kind of almost killed it for me was when they explained about the tree connection, and he's like, "What have you people been smoking?" And all I can think is, you're on a fucking planet billions of miles away from Earth, a planet where mountains are floating in the air. Is this shit really that hard to buy into?
One thing I also appreciated about his review is the comparisons to just Jurassic Park. And I had kind of forgotten about that a little bit, but I mean, definitely when I originally watched it, there are lots of connections, I think. He was making, more connections to Hot Shots there, but I thought the Jurassic World, it's almost mirrored here.
The stuff with the coffee was real fun bits.
Yeah.
And I didn't notice this at first, but we talked about the plane getting tipped at the end. Yeah, it is like in True Lies, another Cameron film. Yeah, just Avatar, didn't live up to the hype. I didn't expect it to, but it's not as awful as some people I've seen say it is. I do agree, the commentary is way, way too on the nose. And all I can say to James Cameron, if you want to tell people the environment can't be mistreated, leave it to Al Gore. And
worthy message, but
if you want to make a movie about settlers coming in and royally butt-fucking the Indians, then make a historical drama. This is not as smart as he seems to think it is. The whole thing just kind of drips with pretentiousness.
And I wonder where he's going to go with the second installment.
Yeah, I remember a few years ago, it was announced that he was making not 1, not 2, but apparently 3 sequels to Avatar, back to back. And I'm like, really? Is this really needed?
He kind of told the story in the one.
Yeah, just why, but I am a little curious to see where they'll go, because as you said, some people take issue with the movie's themes, so wondering how they'll continue it from there. But yeah, I love Doug's review. He summarizes it perfectly, while still being fair, and again, giving a good analysis of the visual style and the filmmaking.
Well, maybe the sequels will iron out some of the rough edges here, or maybe it will continue to be kind of a hot mess.
We'll see, just as long as it doesn't go the full Heaven's Gate route. Thank you for watching, and hope you have a nice holiday season.
Yeah, definitely review to check out. Enjoy.